What is this? It's an APUSH book. I remember all this stuff. What's that? It's my old APUSH book. Spanish-American War, World War I. Yeah, it's all about the rest of the world. Do you remember most of it? Yeah. I don't know. Can you explain it to me? Well, 90 miles off the coast of Florida was the Spanish-held island of Cuba. Cubans were trying to free themselves of oppression from Spain, with support of United States investors. President McKinley refused to start a war with Spain, despite the public's outrage fueled by yellow journalism from men like Hearst and Pulitzer. The explosion of the USS Maine on February 17, 1898, pushed the United States into war. In the Pacific, Admiral Dewey attacked the Philippines on May 1st from orders of the Assistant Secretary of the Navy, Theodore Roosevelt. The United States won the war and received the Philippines, Guam, and Puerto Rico through the Treaty of Paris, while Cuba gained partial independence under the provisions of the Platt Amendment. And that was the Spanish-American War.
Wow, I can't believe the U.S. got the Philippines, Guam, and Puerto Rico. Did they get anything else during that time period?
Well, yeah, because the United States during this time period started its imperialistic venture. In order to compete with European nations, the United States became an imperial power. Alfred D. Mahan had argued that a powerful navy was the key to being a great nation, with his book, The Influence of Sea Power Upon History, the years 1660 to 1783. Hawaii was a prize for American investors because of its sugar plantations. Queen Liliuokalani refused to let the U.S. annex the islands, but eventually she was disposed of, and Hawaii became a United States territory. In China, John Hay negotiated the open door policy, which allowed trade to continue there. Years later, Theodore Roosevelt had the Panama Canal built to allow ships to pass between the Atlantic and the Pacific Oceans.
Wow, you know a lot about this time period.
Yeah, do you know anything about this?
Well, I do remember some of the foreign affairs during this time. President Roosevelt wished to keep Latin America free from European influences. His plan for preventive intervention was the Roosevelt corollary to the Monroe Doctrine. In 1913, Mexico was in turmoil under the command of General Huerta. When he began to menace American affairs, Wilson allowed ammunition to fall into the hands of his enemies, Zarzana and Pancho Villa. The two men became rivals when Zarzana became president. General Pershing was unable to find Villa before war in Europe began. Roosevelt brought peace to Asia when he negotiated peace between Russia and Japan. He later received the Nobel Prize for his work.
Hey, you know a whole lot about this stuff too.
Oh, hey, what are you talking about?
We're talking about U.S. history from 1890 to 1920.
Oh, I know about that.
World War I.
It all began when the Serbian rebel killed the Archduke Ferdinand of Austria. Austria-Hungary gave Serbia an ultimatum until Russia stepped in to protect its little brother. Suddenly, all of Europe became involved because of the many alliances. The US decided to remain neutral, but secretly aided the Allies. Germany had a policy of unrestricted submarine warfare, which prompted an attack on the Lusitania, which was a British passenger ship with American passengers. The US received reparations and remained neutral. Germany attempted to get Mexico to join the Central Powers, but the Zimmermann Note was intercepted. This pushed the US into joining the war just as Russia entered its Bolshevik Revolution, pushing the Allies to victory.
That's all I have to say about that.
So what happened after the war?
You don't remember the Paris Peace Conference? Wilson introduced his 14 points. After the war, the victors discussed how to achieve peace. The Big Four of Orlando of Italy, Clemenceau of France, Lloyd George of Great Britain, and Wilson of the US met in Paris. Wilson brought with him his 14 points. This included freedom of the seas, reduction of arms, and the abolishment of secret treaties, among others. The most important was the League of Nations. The League was to be a collection of countries working together to maintain peace. The U.S. never joined this league as political conflicts arose at home.